Shortly after exiting the theater after watching the Jordan Peele film Nope, my girlfriend Natalie had an interesting gripe with the movie. She said it made no sense that the entity that killed the main character's father and harassed Emerald and OJ could disguise itself as a cloud. How could it learn to do that? She said. And where she was mildly displeased with this fact, her observation absolutely blew my mind. I had paid no mind to the cloud camouflage early in the movie, writing it off as some kind of alien camouflage technology, not revising its explanation in my mind since realizing that this thing was some sort of creature. But that was the other piece of the puzzle. Why would a creature like this have cloud like camouflage? Do you see what I saw? The creature is not an extraterrestrial, and secondarily, it is almost certainly not the only one of its kind. In fact, almost nothing about the creature is alien apart from its UFO like appearance. It's entirely biological in nature, another predator in search of food. So, today, I'd like to ride out onto the ranch, swing my bachelor's degree in biology around, and lasso this thing, figure out what the hell it is. To do that, we're going to figure out where it's from and how it could remain unknown, speculate how it could evolve to take its current form, and finally discuss why a creature like this one might act the way it's acting in the movie. Also, before I go any further, while I admit I have often fantasized about being the guy to figure out a big mystery under everyone's noses, I want to acknowledge that I do not in the slightest think that this is the point of the movie or that Jordan Peele or anyone involved with the movie considered any of this. And in fact, they may have considered things that I missed that totally refute my conclusions. At any rate, this is just meant to be a fun exercise in film slash science theory for entertainment purposes. The first fact that must be true if this thing is indeed earthly and of animal origin is that there must at least be an extant population of these things living in the world. Yet, very few of these creatures choose to target humans. Otherwise, in today's age of camera phones and surveillance, there would be more reports of folks getting sucked up more consistently than there are vaguely credible UFO sightings and abductions. Although this is definitely arguable if you consider wildlife, lost livestock, or even perhaps a fractional edition of the missing persons worldwide. But I'd counter that even if there were, in fact, more of them attacking humans, then you'd assume at some point a city would have been scourged by one or more of these things. And even with all of its capabilities to camouflage, fly at high speeds, and affect electronics, many people or devices would at some point certainly survive to witness this enormous creature and the conspicuous tornado like effect that it has on its prey. So, like most wild predators, it doesn't usually attack people, and at the start it seems unfamiliar with the possible dangers to its health present in civilized areas. This type of creature has also gone apparently undiscovered for millennia, or at least unidentified if we're counting UFO sightings as discovery, despite its enormous size. Let's pull a little more at these strings, and we'll see that humans are nearly ubiquitous on the planet's continents. This, along with not having been discovered despite the creature's massive size for an animal, logically leads us to view the creature as one that at least originates from the sea and must have evolved the capability to take to the skies. Another fact, apart from its grand size and lack of discovery, also leads us to this conclusion, and that's the aforementioned electronic abilities. While the ability to use, or at least evidence of, electroreceptors exists in many corners of the animal kingdom, the ability to output an electric charge is one only found in water dwelling creatures such as electric eel, ray, and catfish, as well as a few others, likely in part due to the increased conductivity of water in comparison to air. Furthermore, the use of electroreceptors is very common among fish and other ocean dwelling creatures, meaning that in the ocean environment, this ability of turning off electronic surveillance, or in this case, receptors, would assist the nope creature not just by conveniently shorting out surveillance cameras for the sake of the plot, but also by shorting out perception organs of their prey or perhaps even ocean predators. We are painting the evolutionary picture now. The creature comes from the ocean, and this, along with its stealth abilities, allow it a great level of concealment from the eyes of prey as well as from humans. But if this creature is from the oceans, then what other creatures on the Tree of Life are related to it? And how does it fly? Well, much like the manta ray or flying fish, many animals suited for the ocean would almost evolutionarily be primed for the air, if not for their muscle to mass ratio and obviously inability to respire in the air. So then, how does the creature in Nope move around? Well, it's definitely not very clear. It certainly doesn't have wings, fins, or flippers. It's possible it uses some sort of jellyfish like locomotion, although this seems unlikely due to the minimal apparent undulation of the creature's outer hide and its ability to rapidly move in lateral directions. No, I personally think that it moves a very specific method, and that would be the jet and siphon used by undersea mollusks like octopus and squid. A water jet and siphon allow for very agile movement with quick acceleration and unpredictable velocity due to the lack of apparent physiological change you might see in a creature with limbs like legs, wings, or tail fins. This unpredictable acceleration and swift movement explicitly matches the motion of the Nope creature, which darts to and from clouds and land. While efficiency of the jet and siphon does indeed decrease as fluid density decreases and animal mass increases, in theory alone, there is nothing stopping a creature light enough but powerful enough from adapting the same evolutionary concept for the other native fluid that we do have on Earth, which is air. If we can accept this, another special connection between this subset of mollusk and the Nope creature is highlighted, that being the highly complex ability to camouflage and mimic the color and texture of surrounding environs that started this whole conversation. Much like the creature does in the hills and clouds above, so too do the octopus and cuttlefish blend with rocks, plants, and coral on the seafloor. These real world animals are also noted for their magnificent intelligence, which we can absolutely attribute to the Nope creature as well, given that it is seemingly able to manipulate the environment, identify new threats and perceive them, and even primitively respond with human stimuli in the movie. I'd like to believe that the creature from Nope shares a close common ancestor with these creatures. I imagine that the hide that the creature is able to flexibly alter and invert is nothing more than the many tentacles of these creatures combined and fused into a cloak of sorts, similar to the flesh between the tentacles of a Dumbo octopus, which also has some kind of display which can be seen here. I did not see this clip before I wrote this essay, but when I did see this clip, I knew I had to include it. It very much reminds me of the way that the Nope creature looks towards the end of the movie after it's kind of lost its saucer like form. Perhaps the jaws or beak of the creature brutally evolved to crush a great number of swallowed prey at once, much like we see in the film. The great currents of air to and from the siphon blowing through the wet and pillowy interior of the creature, as seen in the movie, moving or hovering the creature, perhaps pulling in prey to feed it or pushing out to expel waste. It dives deep and soars low, looking for unsuspecting schools of fish or pods of porpoise to suck up and consume, appearing to any nearby sailors or fishermen as a dramatic waterspout above, or maybe a great whale or shark below, or maybe even simply as an unexplained electronic malfunction. That could be our creature's life on a daily basis, and we as mankind would be none the wiser. I don't think I've necessarily proven anything regarding this creature, but I do feel that with its particular design and abilities, it is difficult to disprove that it is an animal, and to describe it as such is definitely a more demonstrable conclusion to land on than to claim that it's extraterrestrial just because it looks like what humans think of when they think of UFOs. In fact, given the themes in the movie surrounding humanity's lack of true understanding of nature's power, claiming the creature is somehow different than an earthly predator would be an ironic point to argue, in my opinion. In so many ways, the natural world is populated with myriad creatures, as alien as anything to the majority of mankind. Just because we've seen them in zoos and on planet Earth does not mean that we have any inkling of what it's like to face down the animals of the world alone or live in their world at all. So that's it then. We've identified the likely origins of this very earthly creature. But there's one more thing to explore. What is this one doing here, if they do originate from the ocean after all? Well, for starters, being in California outside of LA means the sea that it may have strayed from isn't too far away. The creature's in an unfamiliar environment, but it also happens to have entered into a symbiotic relationship with Jupiter, who feeds it horses in exchange for the revenue brought in from his shows, which feature the creature. It's possible that the creature might have starved or went back to the ocean, if not for Jupiter regularly sustaining it. But of course, the creature eventually becomes more aggressive, and things do not end the way Jupe planned. Someone probably should have told him not to feed the wildlife at some point. So I guess in conclusion, Nope is basically a terrifying thriller adaptation of If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, if you look at it from Jupe's perspective.